Hi class, we're going to learn about area today. Last week we did shapes. This week we are going to do area. So what is area? Have you ever tried to find out how big your bathroom floor was because you needed new tile or new wood and you needed to know how much of a material to buy? Or maybe you needed to paint a wall and you needed to know how much paint to get. Those are times where you're going to need to know how the area to know how big your object is, the surface of it, how the size of the shape, to find how much material you will need in real life. And yesterday you should have watched a clip where Moby and Annie were trying to figure out a problem like that as well. So area is the number of square units needed to cover the whole shape. So if I covered this whole shape, that whole thing, the whole rectangle, that's the area of the rectangle, which is not beautiful right now, but that's okay. So let's keep going. A square unit is a unit used to measure area. So that little red box right here that you see, that is 1 square unit. So if we were going to find the area of the whole box, I would count all of the square units. And I could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I could count them one by one, and that's fine. And I used a strategy, and I wrote my numbers on each one so I knew that I didn't forget one. But there are some better ways, better strategies to use so that it's not as slow, because maybe your shape will get so big, you're going to have so many square units in it that you may not want to sit there counting every single one. So earlier in the year, we did something that kind of looked like this, and I'm wondering if you remember what it is. We have rows. These are the rows. We have 1, 2, 3, and we have in each. So rows, and we have in each. Those words, in each, they sound very familiar. How many in each? 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually when we see the words in each or hear them, we're talking about multiplication or division. So if you remember in class, we did something called arrays, and that was for multiplication. That's what we're going to use here to help us find our area a lot faster. So if I do 1, 2, 3, I have 3. And then rows. This is rows, by the way, guys. Let's write rows. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 in each. If I did 3 groups of 4 equals how much? Some of you will say 12, and if you did, great job. We can also count it one by one just to make sure that we were right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So counting it one by one, we still got the right answer, but doing it with multiplication, we maybe didn't take us quite as long. There's another way we can do it. We can do the multiplication, or we can do repeated addition. So what if I count here? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And I have 4 in every single one. I can just add them all together. 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals 12. And if I were to do the same thing I did earlier of counting them individually, I would see that I still get I still get 12. It was just two different ways to find the same answer. I can add it all together. I can do my repeated addition, or I can do my multiplication. Both ways are going to work fine. Let's compare these. So I have two rectangles here, and these rectangles are actually the same size, but what's inside of them is different. They have different tiles. The squares inside, if you see this square right here, is going to be smaller than this square. So our yellow rectangle has a lot more little squares, a lot more little square units in it because they're smaller, so you can fit way more in. But then the green rectangle has less of the squares because they're too big. You can't fit all of them in there. So if you think about it like if your parents have a garage, and in the yellow garage you have all of your toy cars fit in the yellow garage. But if you tried to fit real cars in the garage, you couldn't fit as many. Your cars would be more of the size as the green squares. So you'd have less real cars than toy cars in that same space, if that kind of makes sense. Anyway, so let's get started. We have how many square units here? First of all, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4. And now we know that every single one has 4. So we can do it that way where we add all of them together with our repeated addition. So we would get 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you would end up getting 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So if I add 4 6 times, because I have 6 rows, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I added 4 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, I would get 24 square units. So let's look at this other one. In this other one, we have how many in each? We have 1, 2. So each row has 2. And we have how many rows? We have 1, 2, 3. So if I add 2 3 times, 2 plus 2 plus 2, I would get, we should all know, 6. And if I write my numbers in the boxes, I will see, yes, the answer is 6. So that's repeated addition, okay? Now we can do it maybe a little simpler with our multiplication. Multiplication. So let's count the rows. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. And how many do I have in each? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 in each. So if I were to do 6 times 4, I would get, we just did it, 24. So it is the same answer. Here I did a little more work in the repeated addition because I had to do it kind of over and over again. It took a little more time. But if I get really good at my multiplication facts, I can easily just go, oh, 6 down, 6 rows with 4 in each is 24. So, sorry guys. The next one on this side. Oh, I do not know what I did there. Okay, there we go. The next one on this side. We have how many rows? 1, 2, 3. And how many in each? 1, 2. So simply we have 3 groups of 2. 3 groups of 2, and that equals, we should all know, 2, 4, 6. Our answer here was 6 with our repeated addition, and with our multiplication, we got the same thing. So those are 2 strategies you can do, repeated addition and multiplication. Now we have a question, and it says, how many rows of square units are in this figure? So if we look at the figure, we count the rows by looking at the side. This way, if we go this way, that is a row. Okay, when you read in a book, the lines that you read, those are the rows. So how many rows are in this rectangle? So we're going to label them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 9 rows in this figure. How many square units are in each row? So the rows each have the same amount of square units. So in one row we have 1, 2, 3. Every single row is going to have 3 square units in each. Right, we see that. This one also has 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and so on and so on. Okay, what addition sentence would you use to figure out how many square units are in the figure? So we can use a repeated addition sentence, and we can go ahead and write that. And we can also use a multiplication sentence. For repeated addition, it's going to be, we can do 3 9 times, right? So we have 9 groups of 3, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's really long. So what I would prefer to do instead of repeated addition is I think that we should do 9 groups of 3. Which one of these two do you think would be easier to look at and do? This one with all of those, a lot of numbers, or the one that's just 2 numbers? I think it might be easier to just do the multiplication. But if repeated addition is easy for you, go for it. I wanted to show you those 2 ways. Okay, look at this figure. How many square units are missing? So in this figure, we have a rectangle here. And we're trying to find out what is missing here. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to take what we already had, and we're just going to bring it over. So I'm bringing it over, and I'm going to bring it over, right? And then I'm going to draw a missing line. And so what we were missing was this piece here. There was this piece here. So if we count the squares in this piece, I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 square units missing. Okay, how many square units would it take to cover the whole figure? Okay, so there are 6 missing, but now it wants to know the whole figure, how many does it take? Because it doesn't take 6. We already had how many? We already had 1, 2, 3. So all we have to do is do 6 plus 3. And we would get 9, right? So we can also just make sure and count one by one just to make sure. And we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We did. We got the same number. So if we, I know it looks a little more confusing now. I can go ahead and erase it all. If we take our image and we're missing pieces, if we draw those lines, we can count how many we were missing, and we can count how many you would have all together. Okay, so that was the lesson, guys. Let me know if you have any questions, and please go do the assignment after this. If you didn't do yesterday's, you just have to tell me. Think about a time where your family had to use area, why you think it's important. What would happen if you didn't know the area? If I didn't know the area of my wall and I wanted to paint the wall and I only bought a little tiny bit of paint and then I ran out, well, then I'd have to go back to the store, or maybe I didn't have enough money saved. So many different things can happen when we don't plan accordingly, and it is important to plan what we're going to do before we do it, and that's why math is important. Measuring before you start a project, basically. This is what we did in science too. So, all right, guys, had a good time. Bye.